remember how the last two transfer windows here at Fulham have been really, really good, but the one before that was really rubbish? Well, I'm proud to say I'm maintaining a 50-50 success rate on transfer windows being any good, which is good. I'm giving a youth teamer a debut today, though, to try and appease you a little bit. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 18 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we are away against Newcastle in the Premier League and then at home against Norwich in an FA Cup 4th round replay. In actual fact, the game that got us here was a bit mad. We were 3-0 down, being completely dominated by Championship side Norwich. We brought on a couple of youngsters, Freddie Power and Peter Ebuka, and they scored in the 89th, 92nd and 94th minute to rescue a replay for us. That was taking off Hall, Horter and McBurney in disgrace. Just, there you go, get off, let's get the kids on. And the kids came on and were brilliant. I now have a newfound respect for youth, and we are going to be giving another one a debut in today's episode. But first, let's have a look at the transfer window. And I fully admit it hasn't been my best work, but I think we have improved the squad, just not with anything particularly spectacular. There's no wonder kids that have come in. There's no one that's come in and you think, oh yeah, that's a fantastic sign. That's exactly what we needed. It's just been sort of marginal improvements to the squad. So firstly, the outs. Alfred and Dye has left for 1.4 million. Riyad Mahrez for 2.3 million. They both came in the summer as old men. We talked about Dad's Army at the time. Turns out they were both too old to make a difference, so we've moved them on. We've also moved on a few of the youngsters. Liam Moore has gone to Brighton for £4.2 million because he didn't want to be here if he wasn't going to be a first team regular, and at 32 and not playing for us all season, I thought £4 million was too much to turn down, especially when we were able to replace him with a roughly equivalent player who's a few years younger for less than that, in the shape of Cameron Carter-Vickers, only 27 years old, same star rating, 3-star current ability. He's just going to take Thorne's spot in the squad as our fourth choice defender. Don't expect to see him play very often. And he's had a varied career. He's been around the world a little bit, done Germany, spent the last couple of years in Israel, but he's now back here in England, £1.4 million. It seemed like a steal for a player who just, to me, it was £3 million profit and 5 years younger by swapping more for Carter-Vickers. So that's uninspiring transfer number one. Uninspiring transfer number two is Joe Williams. He's 28 and until he signed for us had never played in the Premier League. He's roughly the same as all our other midfielders. He's just an extra body in there, which is what I really wanted. We talked before about how I didn't have much confidence in Cullen and Calderon. I wanted other players of the quality of Horter and Pineda, and that's what Williams gives me. But yeah, the fact that he's 28 and has never played in the Premier League, it's got to be a little bit of a worry for £8 million. We've signed another old man. This is your replacement for Riyad Mahrez. Again, it was a case of let's do a little bit of an improvement without it costing us very much money. We got £2.5 million for Mahrez. We've paid £4.3 million for Lucas Moura. So what we've actually done is got rid of Moore and Mahrez and brought in Moura and Carter-Vickers and made a bit of a profit in doing it. And to me, that's an upgrade. Moura's a year younger than Mahrez, but still has some Premier League oomph in him. Plus, he can play as a striker as well, which gives us an option to have him playing up front, which is actually where he's going to play today on his debut. And he's been playing regularly in the Premier League for Tottenham for years. So I don't think it's the worst signing in the world. But then my director of football, being my director of football, saw me sign a right winger on deadline day and thought, you know what you need on loan? A right winger on deadline day. So we have another one as well. Nicolas Pepe is a 29-year-old Ivorian international who is also as good as Hall and Moura. We now have 3 very good right wingers. So we could probably sell Hall at this point. I don't really get what that transfer was, but I wasn't going to turn him down because my director of football generally hasn't let me down with loans in the past. If you haven't been watching the transfer specials, we have an arrangement where I do the money transfers and I let him take care of the loans, and he's done all right. Horter was a good sign. I mean, all our best signings this season have been loans, really. Maybe Toussaint is the exception, but he brought in Horter, he brought in Bakayoko, he brought in Sosa. and he's now brought in Pepe. We've also sent Dahlberg back to Watford, the goalkeeper, because he didn't want to be here. And one of the biggest moves of deadline day was turning down an offer from Newcastle for Liam Thorne to take him on loan for the rest of the season as a key player. Liam Thorne has never played for us, or he might have. No. Yeah, he's played one game there. But he's been down in the Championship this season for Palace, scoring loads of goals down there. I brought him back at the start of the window. Newcastle have tried to take him away again, but actually, looking at our coach reports, he's actually as good as Mora, as Mitrovic, as Garces, as McBurney. I think we might have to give Liam Thorne an opportunity. Not today, though, because this is the team that we're playing today. And, in fact, we might put Thorne on the bench at the expense of Power, maybe, just so that we can get the opportunity to get Thorne into the game. But this is the team for today. We've got Lopez in goal. The debut, I promised you, is Paul Bell at left-back. You may remember him from the summer. We talked about him existing. He's the captain of our under-23s team, and he's already as good as Joe Bryan. Nowhere close to as good as Sosa, but Sosa probably won't be here next year because he's only here on loan. It's time to give Bell some first-team football. With Newcastle rock bottom of the league, this seems like a good game to do it. So Bell at left-back with Bakayoko, Mawson and Sessegnon the rest of the defence. Joe Williams is starting his first game as our holding midfielder. We've actually been bringing him off the bench, playing in these positions. He did score within 3 minutes of his debut as well, but we're going to give him his debut as a holding midfielder today to give Toussaint a rest. Horta and Pineda ahead of him. Mirabella's been injured, but is now back in the team on the left-hand side, allowing Horta to drop back down to central midfield. Hall on the right, and Lucas Moura making his debut up front. Where is El Shaarawy, I hear you ask? He's disintegrated. We spent all that money on him last season, £11 million. I can't even remember what his injury was. What was wrong with him? He did damaged Achilles tendon, and then as he was recovering from it, pulled a hamstring as well. And he's a broken man now. I don't think we'll ever see him play for Fulham again, because he's our 4th choice left winger. He's our 7th choice right winger. He'd be our 5th choice attacking midfielder, our 13th choice striker. I think El Shaarawy is done. That's what you get for signing old men. So let's get into the game then. We want a big performance from Moura, or else we're going to bring Liam Thorne on after an hour if we're not winning the game with an outstanding performance from Lucas Moura. Mitrovic is recovering from injury at the moment. He's not played for the last few games, so that's why he's not going to be too fussy about not starting. Yeah, I do expect a win from this match. Keep our run of form going. I don't know if I showed you our run of form. We've not lost for ages. I probably should have showed you that. We've been in good form, apart from that Norwich game. Right, let's score goals. Duffy's not a first-choice player. That's why he's not in the team. Don't care about Michy Batshuayi. But there you go. That's where we are in the league. 9th in the league. So still roughly where we were in the league, but we've been on a quite a long unbeaten run at this point. So presumably, with all the rotation we've done today is going to be the day where our long unbeaten run comes to an end. But we've played a lot. It's not that we've been brilliant playing against the superstar teams. We've had a long run of matches against the bottom half teams in the Premier League. It's come at just the right time. We've all but secured a spot in the Premier League for next year, when it was getting a little bit worrisome. And now we can just experiment for the rest of the season, really. I don't think we're good enough to push on for Europe, because we're only 2 points behind Tottenham in 7th, I guess. But we haven't had a big result against a big team all season. But we're safe, and we need to start thinking about transfers for the summer, because a lot of these loans are going to go back. And I am a little bit worried that we're drifting into treading water territory with Fulham, where we can probably keep them at roughly this level forever. But unless we can stumble across a wonder kid or two and commit some time to Fulham, I don't know that we're in a position to take them to the next level. With only 25,000 capacity, never going to have a huge amount of money. Unless we stumble across an FA Cup win and make our way into Europe that way, I think we are getting to the point where we probably need to move on, just for the sake of my sanity. Moura does a little bit of nice closing down in the middle there. It falls to Mirabella, and we're 1-0 up. I don't know how much we can credit Lucas Moura for what he's done there. I mean, it's some good closing down. The ball's sort of loose in the area, and Moura's coming across to just hassle the player, forcing him into making a mistake, and Mirabella's there to tuck away his 11th goal of the season. We did try and extend his loan during January as well. Napoli, understandably, with 11 Premier League goals in the first half of the season, want him in their first team next year. So we're coming to the end of Mirabella. So we just have to enjoy him while he's still here. I mean, that might be Al Shaarawy's route back into the team, but I'd like to think we probably need a better option than Al Shaarawy to come in and replace Mirabella when the time comes. So it should be about to hit half-time. It seems to have slowed down massively. 1-0 up at half-time. And let's do our half-time team talk. We are happy, but keep it up, etc., etc. We're going to give more of 15 minutes, or maybe Simon Hall. We might put more out to the right wing. I haven't decided which one we're going to do, but I do want to get Liam Thorne on because it interests me that Newcastle was... I mean, Newcastle, as you can see, are bottom of the league and probably short of a striker. But for them to say, let's have him on loan for the season, pay all his wages and make him a key player, especially with all the goals he's been scoring in the Championship this year. He scored a lot of goals for Forest Green when he was on loan there. I think this is probably the sort of game where we should be getting him on and having a look at him. So let's do exactly that. Let's get him on, have a look at him. The other thing is he's done that thing that players do when they reach a certain age and gone from not being able to play complete forward at all to being an absolute natural at it and it being his best position. So not only is he now supposedly one of our best strikers, he also fits into the system perfectly. I'm hoping we're about to see a dream debut. I know he's played one game before. Pineda's injured as well. I know we've seen him play one game before, but this is his real debut as far as I'm concerned. Right, just shuffle the midfield around a little bit to cover for Pineda. And all eyes on Thorne. By the way, Bell having a perfectly solid game there at left back. I think we're probably need to give him quite a few games for the rest of this season, get him fully integrated into this team, especially with Sosa going back next year. Bell might end up being our first choice left back next year. Hall now cutting in from the right hand side, finds Thorne, and Thorne it's his 22nd goal of the season, but it's his first goal for Fulham, and I think we may have our striker, boys and girls, and he was here all along. He starts the move off with a lovely little bit of hold-up play there, playing it back to Williams. Continues his run as Hall cuts inside and it's a lovely finish. That's a striker who's confident and in form. He's been scoring lots of goals for the last several years out on loan in the lower leagues. He's now arrived in the Premier League and now Mitrovic probably needs to be a little bit worried because I think we might have his successor and it's happy days. Right, I want to have a look at Pepe now as well as my other new signing. So I guess we take off Simon Hall and just do a straight swap, have a look at Pepe on that right-hand side and see if we've got a player over there as well. This might actually end up being a better transfer window than originally thought. Not necessarily even because of the transfers, but because we recalled Liam Thorne from his loan. That might end up being transfer of the season. Can that be transfer of the season, recalling your own player from a season-long loan 6 months early? If he comes in and scores 10 goals between now and the end of the season... As far as I'm concerned, that is signing of the season. And look, as it stands right now, we are up to 7th place. After my little spiel about not being able to qualify for Europe, we're actually in a European qualification spot as of right now. Newcastle have just scored. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. Lopez probably could have done a little bit better there. Bell as well stood there on the line. Between the two of them, one of them should have probably got on the ball in some shape or form. But here's Pepe with a free kick. Does Pepe want to be an inside forward? He's just taken that with his left foot. I haven't had a proper look at him. He's an inside forward. Right. In that case, we're going inside forward from both sides. This excites me. I love an inside forward. Mawson trying to get hold of the ball there, but it ends up running free. Right, Sessegnon plays it into Thorne. Thorne nods it down to Pepe, to Sessegnon again. All the way back to Toussaint, who plays it all the way across to the other side to Bell. Bell crosses to Thorne. Thorne scored again. That's offside. Liam Thorne probably needs to start the next game, doesn't he? I'm now thinking he probably should have been here all season. But if he hadn't been at Palace scoring 20 goals in the Championship, would he be coming in as this same player, bubbling with confidence? It's the perfect game to introduce him as well against bottom of the table team. Joe Williams now has a goal as well, despite never playing in the Premier League before. That's his second Premier League goal, and he's proving to be quite a useful signing. I think we've probably stumbled across some players who, although they don't seem spectacular or particularly inspiring, there's some very solid signings in what we've done here. It's a good example of working with a budget and exploiting old men in lower leagues. I'm quite proud of myself. I want Thorne to get another goal. I want to show him. I want to be a player development genius. Freddie Power's gutted. He's been on the cusp of the team for the 2 years we've been here at Fulham, and now Liam Thorne's just charged past him and he's probably going to start the next game. But that was a good result. Now we play Norwich, a Championship team, how do we not start Liam Thorne in that game? The answer to that question was, well, if he's cup tied, we can't start him. So he won't be playing. Neither will Williams, neither with Mora. They're all cup tied. So this is oh, you couldn't write it. Mitrovic comes back into the team to play up front at the expense of Mora. Calderon comes into the midfield, and Bakayoko is going to push forward to play as our defensive midfielder, with Duffy coming back into the team at the back there. Toussaint picked up an injury, which is why he's not back in the team. Sosa also back in at left back. We don't want to overexpose Paul Bell. 2 games in 4 days. That's too much for a youngster, so Sosa can come back in for today. Right, let's get into this match against Norwich. Hopefully we can do a little bit better than we did in the first time we played them. So assertive, we should be winning this match with no problem at all. I do remember, of course, that we were a little bit rubbish until the 89th minute of the original tie. So if we do manage to make it through into the 5th round of the FA Cup this season, it'll absolutely be a backdoor Kev situation with all those late goals. Ibuka, who scored one of the goals against them last time round, isn't even on the bench. Freddie Power did get 2 though, and if Mitrovic doesn't set the world alight early on, we've got Freddie Power who can come on, and I don't know, perhaps Thorne and Power will be a strike partnership. Perhaps we need a front 2, and there were 2 players who were here all along who've come through our own youth system. Perhaps that'll end up being our front 2 that fires us to the next level. Simon Hall gets the ball in the back of the net, but it is disallowed for offside. Hall was basically stood on the line there. He's offside all the way through this move, and yeah, he was offside. Well done, Simon. This is why we can't retrain him as a striker, because he's got absolutely no positional awareness up there. Although, last season he did score a lot of goals. This year, still only 2 goals for him. It's been a difficult. I think we called yesterday's episode "Second Season Syndrome." Well, for Simon Hall, it absolutely is. He is really struggling this season. Right, we have been the better team here. Let's push on. We have got Pepe on the bench who can come on and play on that right-hand side if Hall doesn't play well. Although he's actually been the brightest of the 3 attackers so far. I am thinking in terms of getting Freddie Power on probably around the hour mark if we haven't scored a goal yet. Hall does really well there, keeps hold of the ball, finds Horta. Horta tries to beat his man but is brought down, and now Norwich have the chance to break. They've only got the 1 man forward, but he'd seemed to cause us far more problems than we would expect a championship striker to cause. I don't know what it is with Norwich. They just seem to have our number a little bit. We play so well against teams in the Premier League, like you just saw us play incredibly well against Newcastle. I know it's with slightly different personnel, but then we come up against Norwich, who've already had us on the ropes recently, and we're struggling against them again. Right, let's get Freddie Power on. We're going to bring Pepe on as well, I think. Or are we? Yeah, we are. We're going to try this. We're going to stick him on as an inside forward on attack. So Power's going to be as an advance forward, with Mirabella and Pepe coming in from either side, really getting up there to support him as a front 3 as we try and push on for some goals. I am aware Sessegnon's picked up a knock, but we don't have a backup right back to come on, so he's just going to have to like it. Sosa's not playing particularly well, so that seems like an opportunity to bring on Bell again. Perhaps Sosa's decided he's going to let Bell become our permanent left back by not playing well when he gets his opportunities in the team. Right, come on lads, we've got to score. This is just getting silly at this point. This is Norwich. We should be better than Norwich, but I don't know what it is. They obviously just counter us perfectly, and we seem to cancel each other out a little bit, or at least we are today. Bakayoko now on the edge of the area finds Mawson. These are not the players we want in attacking positions right at the death of this game. Ball, or Bell even, plays it forward to Bakayoko. Calderon's in space, has a shot, and it's miles over. I'd have had a better shot than that one. And we're going to extra time now in an FA Cup 4th round replay against a team who really haven't threatened us, but have also completely cancelled out our entire attack, even though we've tried 2 different combinations of players up there. They just seem to have our number defensively. I don't know what it is. We need Ibuka. Someone go and find Ibuka. He scored against them last time, but then Freddie Power got 2. Why isn't he scoring? Right, let's try aggression. I'm not happy. It's rubbish, in fact. Can we do a 4th substitution, actually? I think the FA Cup's the competition you can do that in. So Mirabella seems like the obvious one to bring off. Get McBurney on. Oh, we can't make any more. I thought it was the FA Cup you could do a 4th substitution in extra time. Perhaps it's not. Well, we're stuck with what we've got then. Ollie McBurney's going to have to sit there on the bench, looking on once again as he's overlooked with young strikers forcing past it. I mean, he's what, our 6th choice striker at this point? I think it probably would have been the humane thing to do to put Ollie McBurney out of his misery in the January transfer window. But then we didn't have any offers for him. I think if we'd have had an offer, I might have remembered he existed and let him go. But what would you say our ranking order now is of strikers? Thorne, Mitrovic, Mora, Power, Ibuka, McBurney. Yikes. We need to sell him. He's still supposedly worth more than £10 million, but I've not seen it in 2.5 years here at Fulham. He's never been in favour with me since the start. And I know whenever I talk about him, people say, you're not giving him a chance. Well, he's getting as many chances as Power's getting or as Thorne's got. And he doesn't take them. If he needs a run of 3 games starting before he turns into a decent player, he's not going to get that. That's not how you break into a Kev team. You break into a Kev team by having a spectacular debut, because then no matter how you do for the next 20 games, I remember your spectacular debut and you become a hero. Right, penalty shootout, ridiculous. It should not be going to penalties. It's because it knows I've got a runny nose and I'm desperate to blow my nose, but I obviously don't want to do it while you're watching. I don't really want to pause a penalty shootout, so I'm just going to sit here and hope that I don't end up sneezing. Pepe with the opportunity from the penalty spot, and it's 1-1 on penalties. Come on, lads. How do you even commentate on a penalty shootout? Oh, is this guy going to score? Who knows? He did. Brilliant. I don't even know if I want to win this penalty shootout, because the FA Cup's given us such heartbreak the last couple of seasons, and it might do us good to be able to fully focus on the league. See, Horta can hear me. We're 2-1 down, 2 penalties taken each, and we are behind. We're going to get knocked out by Norwich, aren't we? What was the point in the late comeback in the first match if we were going to just bring them back to our place and lose on penalties? We may as well have just not got back into the game. Power now. 3-2. We need Norwich to miss. We need a save from Lopez. Is this where he's going to give us the save? Come on, sir. Give us a sir. Oh, please, sir, save a penalty. No, that doesn't work. Who have we got taking the next one? I have no idea. Are they really just going to score all 5 of their penalties? That feels like cheating. Bakayoko now. If he misses, we're out, I think. Is that how it works? Is that maths? I think that's maths. Bakayoko has to score to keep us in the tie, and then we need another score and a save, and Bakayoko does score, but we now need Lopez to pull off a save, or whoever the Norwich player is to completely bottle it. Who is going to be the Norwich player? Are we going to have heard of him? Probably not. It's very Danny Gomez. Oh, Danny G. Hopefully he's going to become a Fulham hero by skying this. The Fulham fans behind the goal, they've all their arms out ready to catch it when he misses. Lopez, just make the save. Put me out. Well, glad I showed you that. So we're out at the FA Cup deliberately. Like I was saying, we want to be able to focus on the league this year. That wasn't good enough. That was rubbish. What I will do now is just show you the form that I didn't show you at the start of the episode. Just to say, I don't understand how that's happened, because in all other matches, we've been doing really well. It's just against Norwich that we're rubbish. So it's just the Premier League now for the rest of the season. A Premier League that we're currently in a European qualification spot in. So I guess the goal now is to secure that and push on. We're not going to push on that far, but if we can finish in the top 7, that would be awesome. So I guess what we'll do, probably a couple more episodes this season. We'll perhaps do Swansea and Arsenal, then Tottenham and Chelsea to finish things off. And fingers crossed, we qualify for Europe. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.